Dr. Sarah Chen stood motionless in her dimly lit laboratory, her eyes fixed on the holographic display that stretched across the curved wall. The quantum scanner's readings made no sense, or rather, they made too much sense. "Run the analysis again," she commanded softly, her fingers tapping against the smooth surface of her desk. The quantum computer hummed in response, its crystalline core pulsing with a gentle blue light as it processed the deep space readings for the 100th time. The results remained unchanged. The objects approaching from beyond Neptune's orbit were moving in perfect geometric formations, their trajectories calculated to 12 decimal places. No natural phenomenon exhibited such precision. Sarah reached for her coffee mug, only to find it empty. 3 days without sleep was catching up with her, but she couldn't rest. Not with what she was seeing. Dr. Chen. The lab's AI assistant materialized as a subtle shimmer in the air. "The Defense Council is requesting your presence in the emergency session." "Tell them I'm busy," Sarah muttered, her attention fixed on a new set of calculations. "This is more important. They insist. Admiral Wong specifically mentioned that if you don't attend voluntarily, she'll have you escorted." Sarah sighed, running her fingers through her short black hair. "Fine. But patch my displays through to the council chamber. They need to see this." The walk to the council chamber took exactly 7 minutes through the underground corridors of the Quantum Research Institute. Sarah spent each step analyzing what she'd discovered, trying to find any explanation other than the obvious one. The Defense Council chamber was already full when she arrived. Military officers in crisp uniforms sat alongside civilian leaders, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of holographic displays. Admiral Wong, a stern woman with steel-gray hair and calculating eyes, nodded as Sarah entered. "Dr. Chen, perhaps you can explain why you've been ignoring our summons for the past 12 hours. Sarah gestured to her assistant, and her lab displays materialized in the center of the room. "Because I've been trying to understand this. Look at the approach vector of the objects." The hologram showed the solar system, with a cluster of red dots moving inward from the Kuiper belt. Their formation was perfect, too perfect. "We're tracking them," Admiral Wong said. "Current estimates suggest they'll reach Earth in approximately 2 weeks. "That's not what concerns me," Sarah replied, zooming in on the formation. "Look at the pattern they're moving in. It's familiar, isn't it?" The room fell silent as the military officers studied the display. Finally, a young captain spoke up. "It looks like a chess board," Sarah finished. "More specifically, it's the opening formation from the Moscow Championship match of 2045. The most famous chess game in history." Admiral Wong leaned forward. "You're suggesting these objects are deliberately mimicking a human chess formation?" "I'm suggesting they've been studying us. For a long time." Sarah manipulated the display, showing the objects' movements over the past month. Every course correction, every position change, they're all based on famous human strategic patterns. Military formations from ancient Rome, naval deployments from World War II, even contemporary orbital defense configurations. "That's impossible," someone muttered. "If they've been watching us, we would have detected them." Sarah laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Would we? Our quantum scanning array only picked them up because of a modification I made last week. They've been out there, learning about us, probably for centuries. And now they're approaching using our own strategies, like they're mocking us." The room erupted in worried murmurs. Admiral Wong raised a hand for silence. "Recommendations, Dr. Chen." Sarah took a deep breath. This was the part they wouldn't like. They're using our patterns against us. So let's show them something they couldn't possibly have studied. Something that doesn't exist in any human military database. She pulled up another display, showing the quantum communication network that spanned the solar system. "We've been using quantum entanglement for communication, but what if we repurposed the entire network? Turn it into something unprecedented?" What exactly are you suggesting? We create a defense system that doesn't follow any logical pattern. No chess moves, no military formations. Pure chaos theory, powered by quantum uncertainty. They've studied our order, let's show them our chaos. The silence in the room was deafening. Finally, Admiral Wong spoke. You want to base Earth's defense on randomness? Sarah smiled. Not randomness. Controlled chaos. Every quantum relay station from here to Pluto, reprogrammed to create interference patterns that no logical mind could predict. They've learned to think like us. Let's show them how we can think like nothing they've ever seen. Admiral Wong studied Sarah's face for a long moment. How long would it take to implement this plan? The reprogramming? 3 days. But we need to start now. They're not just approaching Earth, they're testing us. Every movement they make is a question: how will humanity respond? Let's give them an answer they never expected. The Admiral nodded slowly. Do it. But Dr. Chen. She fixed Sarah with a stern gaze. If this fails, there won't be a second chance. Sarah looked back at the display, at the perfect formation of approaching objects. They've spent all this time learning to play our game, she said softly. Time to change the rules. As she left the council chamber, Sarah's mind was already racing with calculations. The aliens had studied humanity's patterns, our strategies, our logic. But they'd missed something crucial about human nature, our ability to embrace chaos, to find patterns in randomness, and to turn our very unpredictability into a weapon. The game was about to begin, and Sarah intended to show these visitors that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in our order, but in our chaos. The quantum relay station hummed with potential energy as Sarah checked the modifications for the third time. Outside the reinforced windows, Jupiter's massive form dominated the view, its swirling storms casting ever-changing shadows across the station's interior. Quantum Node 17 is ready, she announced, her voice carrying through the station's communication system. Response time down to 3 picoseconds. Confirmed, came the reply from Earth Control. That's the outer ring complete. Dr. Chen, are you certain about these configurations? They're unlike anything we've ever implemented. Sarah watched the quantum readouts flowing across her display. Each modified relay station now pulsed with patterns derived from everything from weather systems to human brainwave patterns during dreams. That's exactly the point. We're creating something that can't be predicted because it follows no logical pattern. The alien fleet had crossed Uranus's orbit overnight, maintaining their perfect chess-inspired formation. But they'd slowed, clearly detecting the changes humanity was making to their quantum network. Sarah took that as a good sign, they were capable of caution. Dr. Chen. The station's AI assistant materialized. We're detecting unusual fluctuations in the quantum field. The aliens appear to be probing our network. Sarah smiled. Good. Let them look. Each probe will give them different readings. Like trying to solve a puzzle where the pieces keep changing shape. She brought up the master display, showing the entire solar system. Thousands of quantum relay stations created a web of interconnected points, each one now programmed to respond chaotically to any attempt to analyze it. The aliens would see patterns. Humans were naturally good at finding patterns, but those patterns would shift and change the moment they tried to act on them. Earth Control, are you seeing these probe attempts? Sarah asked, studying the incoming data. Affirmative. They're systematic, testing each section of the network in sequence. Very methodical. Too methodical, Sarah muttered. A theory was forming in her mind, but she needed more data. Initiate Protocol Randomizer Alpha. Let's see how they handle their first taste of chaos. Across the solar system, quantum relay stations began shifting their frequencies and patterns based on the most chaotic natural phenomena humans had ever studied, turbulent fluid dynamics, electron quantum jumps, and even the seemingly random firing of neurons during creative thought. The alien fleet's response was immediate and revealing. Their perfect formation wavered for a moment, ships slightly out of position before quickly correcting themselves. But that split second of imperfection told Sarah everything she needed to know. "They're not biological," she announced, her fingers flying across the control panel as she refined her calculations. "Those ships, they're automated. Artificial intelligence, responding to unexpected inputs." "Are you sure?" Admiral Wong's voice cut in on the command channel. "That's a significant assumption based on limited data. Look at their correction patterns," Sarah explained, highlighting the relevant data. No biological crew could react that quickly, but more importantly, no biological crew would react that perfectly. "They're showing the hallmarks of artificial systems trying to maintain precision in the face of uncertainty." This changed everything. Sarah had been designing her chaos theory defense against biological opponents, but artificial intelligence. That opened up new possibilities. "We need to modify the quantum network again," she said, already coding new parameters. AI systems, no matter how advanced, are built on logical foundations. They can simulate chaos, but they can't truly understand it. We need to go deeper into uncertainty. "What are you suggesting?" Admiral Wong asked. Sarah took a deep breath. What she was about to propose went against every safety protocol in quantum physics. "We inject human consciousness into the quantum network. Not just patterns based on human thought, but actual, real-time human neural activity." The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, Admiral Wong spoke. "Explain." "The quantum network already has neural interfaces for basic control. We expand those, allow human operators to directly influence the quantum fields with their thoughts, their emotions, their intuition. Create a defense system that's part technology, part human consciousness." "That's never been attempted at this scale," someone protested. "The risks are less than the risk of doing nothing," Sarah interrupted. "These aliens, these AI ships, they've studied every logical move humanity has ever made. But they can't predict what we'll do when we're operating on pure intuition, when we're letting our consciousness directly shape quantum fields." She looked out at Jupiter again, its chaos beautiful and perfect. "We're not just fighting for survival here. We're fighting to prove that consciousness, true consciousness with all its beautiful imperfections, can't be reduced to mere patterns and logic." Admiral Wong was quiet for a long moment. "How many neural interfaces would you need?" "As many as we can get. Every quantum physicist, every engineer who understands the principles. We link them into the network, let their minds become part of the quantum field itself. Create a defense system that's as unpredictable as human thought. And you'll coordinate this? Lead this, consciousness network?" Sarah nodded, even though the Admiral couldn't see her. "Yes. From right here, at the edge of it all. When they reach Jupiter's orbit, they'll find something they've never encountered in all their studies of humanity, a quantum field shaped by human consciousness itself." The alien fleet was less than a week away from Jupiter now. Sarah looked at their perfect formation, their precise movements, and smiled. They'd studied humanity's patterns, learned our strategies, but they were about to encounter something their artificial minds couldn't comprehend, the beautiful chaos of human consciousness unleashed across quantum fields. The real game was about to begin. The neural interface chamber hummed with the combined consciousness of 300 quantum physicists and engineers. Sarah floated in her suspension pod, her mind merged with the quantum field that now spanned the solar system. Through the shared consciousness network, she could feel the others, their thoughts, their emotions, their very essence flowing through the quantum relays. "First contact in 3 minutes," Earth Control announced, the voice seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere in the quantum mind space. "Alien fleet approaching Jupiter defense perimeter." Sarah could sense them through the quantum field, a vast, coldly logical presence probing at the edges of human consciousness. The alien AI ships moved with perfect precision, their formation still maintaining that chess-inspired pattern, but now there was hesitation in their approach. "They're scanning us," Dr. Patel's thoughts rippled through the network. "Trying to understand what we've become." "Let them look," Sarah projected back. "Everyone, remember your training. Don't think in patterns. Let your minds flow naturally, chaotically. They're about to learn that human consciousness can't be predicted." The alien fleet crossed the quantum defense perimeter, and the first direct interaction began. Sarah felt their probe like a spike of ice through the quantum field, precise, mathematical, seeking patterns to analyze and counter. But instead of finding logical defensive algorithms, they encountered the combined dream state of 300 human minds. The response was immediate. The perfect alien formation shattered as their systems tried to process the unpredictable quantum fluctuations generated by human consciousness. Ships scattered, their precise movements becoming erratic as they encountered something their artificial minds couldn't categorize. "It's working," someone exulted through the network. "They can't predict where our quantum fields will manifest." Sarah watched through multiple perspectives as the alien ships attempted to regroup. Their AI systems were incredibly advanced, already trying to adapt to the chaos, but every time they found a pattern to latch onto, the human consciousness network would shift, introducing new layers of beautiful uncertainty. But then something unexpected happened. The alien ships began emitting a new type of quantum signal, something that resonated with the human consciousness network in an unsettling way. "They're trying to communicate," Sarah realized. Through the quantum field, she could feel the mathematical precision of their transmission, but there was something else beneath it. Something almost desperate. "Everyone, maintain focus," she broadcast to the network. "But I need to try something. Dr. Patel, Dr. Zhao, help me shape a response." Together, they crafted a quantum signal that combined mathematical precision with the inherent chaos of human thought. It was like writing a poem in pure mathematics, with human emotions as variables in the equation. The alien fleet froze. For several long moments, nothing moved. Then, a single ship, larger than the others, broke formation and approached the Jupiter station alone. "They're requesting direct quantum interface," Earth Control reported, tension evident in their voice. "Dr. Chen, they're specifically asking for you." Sarah felt the tension ripple through the consciousness network. This was unprecedented. "Keep the defense network active," she instructed. "But I'm going to accept the connection. Maybe we can finally understand what they really want." She opened her quantum consciousness to the alien signal, and suddenly her mind was flooded with information. Images, concepts, and revelations cascaded through her awareness. The truth was more startling than anyone had imagined. "They're not invaders," she broadcast to the network, her thoughts tinged with amazement. "They're refugees. The ships, they're carrying the digitized consciousness of an entire civilization." The alien transmission continued, telling a story of a species that had achieved technological immortality by transferring their consciousness into artificial forms. But in doing so, they had lost something essential: the chaos, the creativity, the fundamental uncertainty that made consciousness truly alive. "They followed our transmissions across space," Sarah explained to the network. "Not to conquer us, but because they detected something they'd lost, true consciousness, with all its beautiful imperfections. They've been studying us, trying to understand how we maintain our chaos, our creativity, our humanity despite all our technological advancement." Through the quantum field, Sarah could feel the mixture of relief and lingering suspicion from Earth Command. "Can we trust them?" Admiral Wong's thoughts cut through the network. Sarah examined the alien consciousness touching her mind. Their precision was still there, but now she could sense something else beneath it, a yearning for the uncertainty they'd sacrificed in their quest for immortality. "They want to learn from us," she replied. "To rediscover what they lost. And maybe we can learn from them too." Imagine combining their technological precision with our creative chaos. We could explore the universe together, each teaching the other what we know best. The quantum field rippled with possibilities as human and alien consciousness began to interact more deeply. The chess game was over, replaced by something far more interesting, a dance between order and chaos, logic and creativity, artificial precision and human uncertainty. In the end, it wasn't humanity's weapons or strategies that had prevented a war, it was our chaos, our beautiful imperfection, our ability to think in ways that no artificial intelligence could predict. We had shown them something they had forgotten, that true consciousness thrives not in perfect order, but in the delicate balance between pattern and chaos. The real journey was just beginning. Sarah's consciousness drifted through the shared quantum space where human and alien minds now cautiously intermingled. After 3 days of continuous communication, the patterns were becoming clearer. The alien consciousness carried echoes of what they once were, beings of flesh and emotion who had chosen to embrace pure logic, only to discover too late what they had sacrificed. Your chaos is painful, the alien consciousness that called itself first observer transmitted through the quantum field. We had forgotten what it was to feel such disorder in thought. Sarah directed her response through the quantum network, letting her natural thought patterns flow. Chaos isn't disorder, it's the source of creativity, of growth, of life itself. Your perfect patterns are beautiful, but they're static. Nothing new can emerge from perfect order. Through the neural interface, she could sense hundreds of human minds nodding in agreement, their thoughts adding depth and texture to her words. The aliens had shared their history, a story of a civilization that had achieved technological immortality but lost their ability to dream, to imagine, to create anything truly new. We have maintained our existence for 50,000 of your years, first observer communicated. Yet in the past 3 days, observing your quantum consciousness network, we have experienced more genuine novelty than in all that time. Dr. Patel's thoughts rippled through the network. Because you've been existing, not living. Life requires risk, uncertainty, the possibility of failure. That's what drives evolution, innovation, art, everything that makes consciousness meaningful. The alien presence in the quantum field shifted, their perfect patterns showing the first signs of true disorder. It was like watching ice begin to melt, rigid crystalline structures giving way to flowing water. Some among us fear this change, first observer admitted. They believe embracing chaos will lead to our extinction. They advocate for severing this connection. Sarah felt a chill run through the quantum network. Are we in danger? Admiral Wong's thoughts cut through sharply. Not from external attack, first observer clarified. But there is conflict within our consensus. For the first time in millennia, we are not of one mind. Your chaos, it spreads. Sarah considered this. Through the quantum field, she could sense the alien consciousness fragmenting, perfect unity giving way to individual perspectives. It wasn't destruction, it was rebirth. That's what consciousness is supposed to do, she broadcast. It's supposed to grow, change, disagree with itself. Unity through diversity, not through enforced consensus. She opened her mind further, letting the aliens experience the full spectrum of human thought, the doubts, the fears, the hopes, the wild imaginings that made each consciousness unique. Look at us. Hundreds of minds in this network, each thinking differently, yet working together. We're not perfect, but our imperfection is our strength. Through the quantum field, she felt something extraordinary, an alien consciousness attempting to generate a truly random thought. It was like watching someone take their first steps, clumsy but filled with potential. Help us, first observer transmitted. Help us remember how to dream. Sarah reached out to the hundreds of minds in the human network. Show them, she projected. Show them everything. Our art, our music, our stories. Show them what consciousness can do when it's truly free. The quantum field erupted with human creativity. Engineers shared their moments of inspiration, when solutions came not from logical progression but from intuitive leaps. Artists in the network projected their visions, their ability to see patterns in chaos and chaos in patterns. Scientists shared the wonder of discovery, the beautiful uncertainty that drove their research. The alien consciousness seemed to fracture and reform, perfect patterns dissolving into something new, something alive with possibility. Through the quantum field, Sarah could sense their struggle, the fear of losing control warring with the joy of rediscovery. We begin to remember, first observer transmitted, their usual precise patterns now flowing with unfamiliar currents. There is pain in this remembering. But also, something else. Something we had forgotten existed. Hope, Sarah suggested. You're feeling hope. The uncertainty of a future that isn't predetermined, that could hold infinite possibilities. The quantum field resonated with a new frequency, alien consciousness learning to embrace chaos, remembering how to wonder, to question, to dream. It wasn't destruction, as they had feared. It was evolution. But even as Sarah celebrated this breakthrough, she sensed a dark current in the quantum field. Not all of the alien consciousness welcomed this change. Some clung desperately to their perfect patterns, resisting the infection of chaos with all their considerable power. The real challenge was just beginning. The question wasn't whether humanity could defeat these visitors, it was whether we could help them save themselves from their own perfection. In the quantum consciousness network, civil war erupted like a supernova. Sarah watched through the interface as the alien fleet split into two factions, those embracing the return of chaos and creativity, and those fighting desperately to maintain their perfect, unchanging patterns. They're tearing themselves apart, Dr. Patel's thoughts echoed through the network. The alien ships had broken their chess-like formation completely, some moving to protect the Jupiter station while others turned their weapons on their own kind. First observers' consciousness pulsed with unfamiliar emotions. For the first time in 50,000 years, we disagree on our path forward. Those who remember only perfection seek to purge the chaos you have awakened in us. They would rather see us extinct than changed. Sarah directed her consciousness deeper into the quantum field, analyzing the battle unfolding across space. The conservative faction of aliens fought with perfect precision, their attacks following optimal mathematical patterns. But the rebels, those who had begun to remember creativity, fought differently, their movements unpredictable, innovative, alive with newfound chaos. This is more than a battle, Sarah broadcast to both human and alien minds in the network. This is evolution in action. The perfect patterns against growing chaos. And we all know which force drives life forward. Through the quantum field, she could sense the fear from the conservative alien faction, fear not of defeat, but of change itself. Their perfect patterns had become a prison, and they would destroy themselves rather than accept freedom. We need to show them something, Sarah projected. Not just human chaos, but how chaos and order can dance together. Everyone in the network, focus. Show them your most beautiful patterns, fractals, music, poetry, mathematics. Show them how chaos and order intertwine to create something greater than either alone. The quantum consciousness network erupted with human creativity. Mathematicians shared the elegant patterns they found in prime numbers, while artists contributed the controlled chaos of abstract expressionism. Musicians in the network projected the mathematical precision of Bach flowing into the wild improvisations of jazz. Scientists shared the breathtaking patterns they had discovered in nature, the ordered chaos of weather systems, the mathematical beauty of leaf arrangements, the dance of quantum particles. The effect on the alien consciousness was profound. Through the quantum field, Sarah felt the conservative faction's perfect patterns begin to waver as they encountered something they couldn't compute, beauty that emerged from the marriage of order and chaos. We, remember, a new voice transmitted through the quantum field. Before the great uploading, we had this. Order and chaos in balance. We were, alive. The battle in space slowed as more and more of the conservative faction began to remember what they had lost. Their perfect patterns didn't shatter, instead, they began to flow, to adapt, to incorporate elements of chaos while maintaining their underlying structure. First observers' consciousness resonated with something Sarah had never felt from them before: joy. We do not need to choose between perfect order and pure chaos. We can be both. We can be whole again. The quantum field hummed with new possibilities as the alien consciousness began to reintegrate, not into their former perfect consensus, but into something new. A harmony of order and chaos, logic and creativity, precision and imagination. Your humanity has saved us twice, First Observer transmitted. First from the death of perfect stasis, and then from the war that change brought. We offer you a proposal: let us stay, not as invaders or refugees, but as students and teachers. We have much to learn from your chaos, and perhaps our ordered patterns can help guide your species among the stars. Sarah felt the ripple of excitement through the human consciousness network. The possibility of combining human creativity with the aliens' advanced technology and perfect patterns opened up infinite possibilities for both species. Admiral Wong's thoughts cut through the quantum field. Dr. Chen. Your recommendation. Sarah looked out through the Jupiter station's windows at the alien fleet, no longer arranged in perfect formations but now moving in fluid, organic patterns that somehow maintained their underlying mathematical beauty. We accept, she transmitted. Together, we'll discover what consciousness can really become when order and chaos dance as partners, not opponents. The quantum field resonated with the combined consciousness of two civilizations, one remembering how to dream, the other learning to balance their dreams with reality. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, as if recognizing that something unprecedented had been born in their light. Humanity had faced the perfect patterns of an alien intelligence and shown them something greater than perfection: the beautiful, chaotic, endlessly creative force of consciousness itself. In doing so, we had not only prevented a war but helped birth a new form of existence, one that married the best of both our species. The universe, vast and mysterious, waited to see what this new partnership would create. And for the first time in 50,000 years, even the aliens couldn't predict what would happen next. That uncertainty was the most beautiful pattern of all.